Welcome back to AV Veterans Talk. We're continuing our conversation with this week's guest, Lou Truckenmiller. So, Lou, you're dealing with all this drama, over there, and I was thinking the war's coming down, and finally, you came to the end of your military career. Did you entertain the idea of staying on?
They actually they approached me and wanted me to sign up and
Re-enlist
continue.
yeah.
But I was kind of spoiled being with Stars and Stripes.
Yeah.
And I asked them. I said, can you guarantee that I'll stay at Stars and Stripes? Had they said yes, I would have signed up.
Right.
But they said, we can't guarantee that. Well, after my experiences with a major publication like the Stars and Stripes, I didn't want to come back to the United States and write stories about where the base commander's wife shopped that day.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And I thought, I can't do it.
Yeah.
It would have been a terrific letdown.
Oh, it would have, yeah.
So I opted to go ahead and get out. And I cheerfully left the Army.
The Army.
At Oakland Air Base.
Oakland.
They flew me back and let me out at Oakland.
Wow.
And
so, and from that point, you're on the streets of America again looking for gainful employment or whatever. And
I was. And there's a dairy. When I got out of the Army, I didn't want to go right home. Yeah. And my mother was working, and my stepfather was working for the Milwaukee Brewers. Mm-hmm. So I flew to Milwaukee, and I thought, it's kind of like getting off of a boat. I need to get my land shoes back on and just relax before I go home to the party. Yeah. That's waiting for me. Lou is coming home.
Lou.
And but I always knew that there's a dairy in Baltimore. I don't know if they're still there. It's Green Spring Dairy. Mm-hmm. And Green Spring Dairy had of all their employees, they had a number of Truckenmillers. Mm-hmm. So I knew I had that going for me. So when I got to Baltimore, I went right to Green Spring Dairy, and they're like, "Well, you're a Truckenmiller, and you're Mac's son." Yeah. Mac was my dad, my real dad. Yeah. Mac Truck.
Yeah, got it.
How original.
Yeah.
And
very cool.
So they hired me as a route. I drove a milk truck.
Wow.
And it was quite the experience. Yeah. I left there and then went into I got a job as a night manager at a Howard Johnson's restaurant. Mm-hmm. And that's really where my concessions experience started to blossom, and I was thankful that my stepfather, who was a restaurant man, he taught me 1,000 things. I was telling somebody this story at the air show yesterday, because we were dealing with the volunteers and everything, and everybody comes up and tells you what's wrong with the show. Yeah. And I was telling them, I go, you don't realize that what's wrong with you as a volunteer, because you're behind the scenes. Yeah. These people don't see it. Yeah, they're out here having a good time.
Yeah, exactly.
My dad always told me, he said, Lou, I don't care if you're managing a restaurant and the kitchen is on fire, you better be out in the dining room filling coffee cups.
Absolutely.
Hey, can I get you another cup of coffee?
Yeah.
And I said, that's what the people are seeing.
Exactly.
You got your problems. Behind the scenes, but nobody's out here seeing it.
Yeah, exactly.
And so...
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing, because concessionaire, and a lot of people don't understand, the volunteers show up and, they just look at their own little world, and think like, oh my God, I can't believe that, this, not realize the scope, the enormity of the concessionaire and stuff, and overseeing so many aspects, and stuff from ordering, making sure there's enough product, making sure everybody's where they got to go, the setup, the teardown, the local government entities you have to work with and things.
Yeah, and then add into that moving jets.
Yeah, absolutely. Airplanes.
And I learned real fast that airplanes and tents just don't get along.
No.
And you know what, Bob?
Yeah.
The plane always wins.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. A couple of years ago at the air show out here, we had plane versus dumpster. and it was not a pretty picture. And boy, it did cost a little bit to get that airplane fixed. But those are the things that happen. And
And you're on a military base. Nobody gives any credit to the concessionaire. You're selling the hot dogs.
yeah.
They don't realize that when I joined up with the company that I retired from, and during the interview they said, "Can you think you can do this?" I said, "Well, from baseball concessions, I know I can feed 60,000 people in 9 innings.
Yeah.
So I think I can do this."
Yeah.
And then you get on that, particularly military bases. You're going to build. It's the equivalent of building 50 McDonald's for 2 days.
Absolutely.
And then
yeah.
tearing them down and packing them up and going on to the next town.
Yeah.
But they don't give you any respect because you're the hot dog guy.
Yeah.
And you're like, we need to set this stuff up. So they'll tell you that you can't get out onto the flight line until 1:00 Friday afternoon.
Yeah.
And then you can build your 50 tents.
Yeah.
And then, so they hold you up like that. And then on Sunday afternoon, they come up to you and go, "That group of tents over there, they got to drop immediately when
Yeah.
the show is over." You're like,
Yeah.
my tents are not on. The planes have wheels.
Yeah.
My tents don't.
Don't exactly. Yeah. Well, and the thing that I always try to tell people, because they don't understand the concessionaire or the umbrella they call it and things like that. It goes like, well, you're not really supporting the local economy, because why aren't we using the people in town? Because you guys are geared to feed in a very small window. Like the air show out here was 12 to 4 o'clock or whatever. Mm-hmm. People are not going to stand in line for a hot dog for 2 hours.
Right.
For an air show, you've got to be able to pump that food out at an incredible, pace.
But however, you can take advantage of the fact that it's an air show.
Yeah, because
you can stand in line and still see the show.
Show.
It's not like you missed a half an inning of a baseball game.
But when you have your encampment, and you've
Exactly.
nested somewhere, you don't want to lose that because people are going to come in there. And I always say, like, and I think correct me if I'm wrong, the concessionaires usually have to buy their product locally.
Everything is purchased locally.
Which helps the local economy.
All the stand, every concession booth is manned by local volunteer.
Correct.
Charitable organizations.
Right.
And I always tell these organizations, I said, hey, believe me, it sure beats a car wash.
Yeah.
They make considerable, the standard rate is 10% of their sales.
Yeah.
And that's considerable.
Yeah.
With the way they're turning out the hot dogs, and I'm out there with a crew that's trying to work with them, and all we ask of the volunteers is just listen to me.
Yes.
And I'm going to make your group a lot of money.
Yeah.
But just listen to me.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And know that I know this isn't my first picnic. So
right.
Just listen to me. And no, in my 25 years, I'd been interviewed on many, many, many local radio stations and TV stations around the country, and I can honestly say that when an air show concessionaire leaves your town, they're taking less than 12% of the sales money that they did, and then that's just to keep the lights on.
Yeah,
that's not profit. That's 12%, so that this company's allowed to drive to another show and do the same thing. Right. Some shows do choose that they